and welcome to Update. I. Now the federal government has threatened to invoke Section 43 of the Trade Disputes Act, CAP P8, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 on the striking health workers in the country. This was disclosed in a statement by the Director of Press in the Ministry of Labour, Samuel Olowokere, in Abuja. Ngiye said that he was surprised that the union decided to embark on another round of nationwide strike in spite of government's demonstrable commitment to the implementation of the agreement reached in September 2017. The minister, however, assured the workers that the federal government was committed to the implementation of the terms of settlement reached with JOHESU. Now joining us in the studio is the National Chairman, Joint Health Sector Union, Biobelemoye Josiah. You're very much welcome, sir.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening, sir. Now diving right into the first question that is on the mind of every Nigerian out there. Why the strike?
The strike is just the reason for the strike is that the government failed in meeting our demands that were turned into an agreement on 30th September 2017. And I haven't waited for 6 months because the agreement would have been completed, implementation would have been completed in 5 weeks. But I haven't waited for 6 months plus. And the government has not done one of the items we call our flagship demands, which is adjustment of the CONHES. We have no alternative.
Okay, so you just told us about your demands and the flagship demands. That is the flagship. What are the other demands that was there in this agreement?
Well, the other demands are all part of the agreement, that the terms of settlement, and for instance, like the skipping arrears, the employment of more workforce to reduce the workload on individual personnel. And the other issues were all component parts of that agreement. But because we believe it cannot all be done at a go, we were willing to take the adjustment as one item, then we would have given way or time for phased implementation of the rest. But the government chose not to do it, even after we have waited for 6 months, and even after we gave the government 21 days, and then 30 working days. The government did nothing until on the 5th of April. 12 days to expiry was when government invited us and told us that it is doing something. And we felt since 2014 we've been on this issue. And coming to the point that we have signed an agreement, and then for the government to still say that it can't meet the agreement in 5 weeks, when it met a similar agreement for our other colleagues, the doctors, in 15 days. So why the discrimination? As some prince or princesses, and then other slaves, we are all employees of the same government.
Okay, that's understandable, sir. But in your own words, you just said the government called, for there to be talks. What were the actions that you saw that made you feel like the government, were not doing as they said, which is trying to get something done about your situation?
Yeah, one of the vexing points is this. Government invited us as people who have a heart for Nigerians and who are not strike hungry. We went for that meeting, expecting that government would have told us, okay, we have done this key issue. What do we do about the others? Rather than telling us that, government, even at this level, at this stage, was still telling us, you see, it's not even provided in the budget, so we are trying to source for funds and all that and that. For God's sake. That amounts to unseriousness and clear inconsistency with the terms of that agreement. Why? Because the government signed the agreement 30th September, and then it defended the budget this year. Why have you not included that even in the budget?
Okay, yeah. That is very much understandable. Okay, you said the government, called you people to talk, and then you realized that they were not making, any efforts towards this. But are you also aware as a group that the government has threatened you guys? Are you aware of the threats that has been made by the federal government if you don't go back to work?
Well, the threat that came from the Federal Ministry of Health and both the Labor, I think it's something that is designed to escalate the strike issue, because we're not going to be damned by that threat. Nigeria is a member of the International Labour Organization, and the conventions of international labor, international conventions, provides that strike is the workers' right. So we are on strike under what Nigeria has also domesticated, and so we are not afraid of that threat. The issue of no work, no pay is not also new, except that it is selectively implemented.
And you feel this situation is not one that it should be implemented for?
If the government actually have the people at heart and wants peace, wants to resolve issue, look, it's like a wicked father, or let's be more drastic, a monstrous and demonic father who knows that this child has a right. I have done it for other child. He's asking for his right. Rather than giving him that right, he shoots him with a gun, maybe on the leg. And when the child wants to cry, he said, don't cry. That is the height of cruelty. That's how we see it. So we'll be ready.
Having, gone on this strike, have you, as a, force, tried, as a union, tried other measures, before embarking on this strike? And if you are, could you peacefully highlight them to us?
Well, before now, we also wrote to the National Assembly, the President of the Senate, and then the Honorable Speaker, that we would want to rub minds with them on this issue so that we can amicably get these things done. That is when we issued the first 21 days. Went there, but after we were given approval that they will meet with us, both houses, the top leadership of the houses will meet with us, knowing fully well that when our colleagues, the doctors, also went on strike, they intervened and made it, peaceful for them, and they resolved the issues. So we also took it to them, since they are the representatives of the people. We went there. But about a day to when we were to be received by the two houses that wrote that, replied us that they wanted us, an arm of the enemy called the Private Medical Practitioners Association, and then the enemy wrote to the house that we should not be attended to. Then on arrival, rather than the chief executives taking us, suddenly those meetings, like the Senate, was cancelled. And well, we are not surprised because we feel that maybe the Senate president, being a medical doctor, was showing his solidarity with his colleagues. But the House of Reps went a little further, though not the top man, but it asked the Committee on Tertiary Institutions to meet with us. And we laid down our problems there, and then we left. So after the 21 days expired, nothing was done. So we now issued, and that is to be very, very carefully, this should be taken by Nigerians. This strike was only suspended, so we have the right to desuspend it or reactivate it even within 48 hours. But as essential services people, we have the right to give 15 days notice. But we left the 15 days notice and gave 21. Government did not make any statement or do anything reasonable. Then we gave another 30 working days. So if you now, 30 working days culminating to about 45 days, add 45 and 21, 66 days. Was it not enough for government to do something? Until 12 days to the expiry, then you call us to tell us that There is nothing they can do.
I understand all of those grievances you just laid on the table. While you were making these assertions, you made examples to the medical doctors when they were on strike, how the government reacted in their situation swiftly, and you also made the statement about the, Senate being, on the side of the medical doctors. Do I sense some sort of tension between your union and that of the medical doctors?
Ordinarily, we do not have any misgivings or negative thoughts for or against the doctors. We consider the health job as a team job, and that we are all in the same industry. We should thrive together. And that was the reason why, for instance, when JOHESU was fighting for skipping, which is one second cardinal point, demand, when we fought for skipping, and the doctors and the ministry said it is not proper, and the court judged in our favor, in JOHESU's favor, that yes, it's right. Now, they were not party to that case. The office of the head of service made it clear, issued a circular to them that you are not going to benefit from it, because they said they wanted to benefit from it. Head of service office said no. Incomes and Wages Commission said no, the ruling wasn't for you. You can't benefit from it. And that was almost snowballing into another round of strike, because they're really happy about striking. They wanted to strike again. So we now said, okay, rather than this causing another round of suffrage to the Nigerian people, especially those that cannot go for medical tourism and those that cannot afford the costly private sector healthcare, that we will not allow that to happen. So we say, look, we are brothers. We are in the same environment. We are in the same industry. Let them have it, if that will bring peace. And as soon as that we allowed that, and that happened, the Federal Ministry of Health, in its characteristic bias, culture, decided to implement it for them and pay them the arrears. Whereas we, the rightful owners, are still talking about arrears. It is one of the contents.
You guys are still owed. I understand. Now, having said that the government hasn't, done you as a union right by coming to meet you 15 days to the expiration of this.
12 days to the expiration.
I would like, okay, 12 days rather. I would like to ask this one final question rounding up this interview. How far is JOHESU ready to take this if the government does not act swiftly?
Well, like I said, by threatening and saying all what they're saying, they are only asking our people to be more resolved and escalate the issue. And we just left a meeting, and we have reviewed our position, and we have taken the position that after 2 weeks, we have issued a press statement even, that after 2 weeks, we will tell the states who are eager to start the strike immediately, but because of the love for Nigerians, we said, no. Maybe the government can come to resolving this issue. So you hold on. Now, after 2 weeks, if nothing happens, the states and local governments will join the action. And then we'll also bring up other steps, such as picketing. While we're striking, we will also picket, and we will also be doing street protests.
Well, okay. And now that's it. Hope you heard it right here on PTV News Update. The National Chairman, Joint Health Sector Union, Biobelemoye, Josiah, has informed you that they were ready to take this to the very last step. Now, many thanks for staying with us on PTV News Update. I am Aisha Jibrin.